world is rarely fair. The sooner you accept this predatory truth, the sooner you stop being prey in someone else's game. While you're reading these lines, somewhere out there, a person with less intelligence commands more respect. Someone physically weaker can sway crowds with a single word. Someone whose skills barely reach yours is living the life you dream of. And all because they instinctively understand the dark mechanics of human psychology. You were taught to play by rules others burned out of their minds long ago. You were taught to be kind where others act with calculated precision. You were taught to wait for recognition while others carve it out for themselves. The game is unfair, but not in the way you think. It's unfair to those who refuse to see its true instructions, to those who believe justice is universal, to those who place good intentions above psychological advantage. 500 years ago, Niccolo Machiavelli dissected the machinery of power as coldly as a surgeon analyzes the human body. He explained why the world is ruled not by the kindest, but by those who can adapt. And today I'll share 8 principles of dark psychology principles that turn an invisible person into someone impossible to ignore. But a warning: once you see the architecture of human behavior, you can't unsee it. Once you understand these laws, you can never again return to the role of the victim. I remember the moment this truth cut through my old worldview like a blade. I was the guy who knew the answers, yet whose words evaporated into the air. I worked harder than most, thought deeper than many, and remained a shadow. I watched confident fools climb upward, manipulators build their influence, while honest people sank like stones. I saw charismatic sociopaths gather devoted followers, while decent people ate alone. And something inside me snapped. The world does not reward intelligence. It rewards influence. It does not bow before kindness. It bows before the strength of presence. It doesn't care about your character. It cares about your psychological advantage. This realization wounded me first, and then freed me. Machiavelli lived in an age of schemes and quiet wars. Watching leaders rise and fall, he discovered a simple rule. Those who understand human nature govern those who don't. His writings aren't dusty historical notes. They're a manual for anyone tired of being a pawn and ready to become a player. Ruthlessness isn't cruelty, it's strategy. While you're playing moral checkers, others are arranging chess pieces. And before we go deeper, do one thing at least in your mind. I refuse to be psychologically dominated. This isn't just a phrase. It's your first step toward inner sovereignty. Because everything I show you next requires a shift, from the mindset of prey to the mindset of the predator. Are you ready to become dangerously confident? Then let's begin. 1. Justice is a trap for the obedient. Here's the first harsh truth. Justice is a convenient story told to keep you predictable and harmless. Every time you wait for fairness, someone more pragmatic takes what you wanted. Every time you trust imaginary rules, others replace them with rules of their own. Every time you expect reciprocity, the cunning use your expectations against you. Think back. How many times did you show respect to someone who never returned it? How many times did you help someone who never helped you back? How often did you wait your turn while others simply walked ahead? This isn't bad luck, it's bad programming. Machiavelli wrote, "Men must be either treated generously or destroyed. They avenge slight injuries but cannot avenge severe ones." He wasn't speaking of violence. He was speaking of psychological weight. Half measures are the worst strategy. Weak pushback breeds contempt, and soft boundaries invite violations. True psychological dominance operates differently. You don't request respect, you create conditions where disrespect becomes too costly. 2. Ruthlessness is not rage, but icy discipline. Most people think ruthlessness is losing control. In reality, true power is stillness at the edge of chaos. Ruthless people do not explode. They calculate. They don't react, they respond. They don't let emotions make choices. Emotions only inform strategy. Emotionally reactive people are easy to manipulate. Push the right buttons and you can predict every move. But the person who remains calm becomes dangerously unreadable. If someone humiliates you publicly, the weak man rushes to defend himself. The strong one chooses a response that shatters the attacker's status or ignores the attack entirely, showing it was too insignificant to matter. 3. Respect is worth far more than likability. This shatters the be nice conditioning. Being liked is pleasant. Being respected is valuable. The agreeable, always kind person becomes an easy target. People know he'll forgive. The dominant person inspires caution. People know there will be consequences. 4. Rare but decisive actions create superiority. The weak talk often and act weakly. The strong stay silent but strike unambiguously. Machiavelli taught, if you must inflict harm, do so in a way that removes the possibility of revenge. Psychologically, this means act once, but act conclusively. 5. Perception control is reality control. People judge you by how you appear, not by who you are. Your image is your loudest argument. If you don't control your image, others control it for you and not in your favor. 6. Winning the story matters more than winning the facts. In every conflict, victory goes to the one who tells their version first and most persuasively. Not to the one who is right, but to the one who frames the meaning. 7. Systematic consequences create psychological authority. The most refined form of influence never relies on threats, anger, or emotional theatrics. It relies on systems, predictable, automatic cause and effect relationships that operate without negotiation. This is the essence of psychological mastery, removing your personal moods, feelings, and impulses from the equation. People can argue with your emotions, they can manipulate your reactions, but they cannot argue with a structure. They cannot negotiate with a principle. When your authority is tied to your temper, they only need to provoke you. When your authority is tied to your approval, they only need to flatter you. When your authority is tied to guilt, they only need to pressure you. But when your authority is tied to a system consistent, unemotional, and automatic, no one can touch it. Machiavelli understood this well. A wise ruler relies on what depends on himself, not on what depends on others. A system puts your power back under your own control. Here's how systematic authority works in practice. Instead of arguing with someone who disrespects your time, you simply stop giving them access to it. No drama, no speeches, the door just closes. Instead of begging people to treat you well, you let your standards do the talking. Respect grants entry. Disrespect results in quiet but firm exclusion. Instead of punishing someone out of anger, you enforce the same consequence every time the same boundary is crossed. Neutral, predictable, unavoidable. Instead of showing favoritism based on mood, you reward people consistently for behavior that aligns with your values and withdraw rewards when it does not. This is how you train others, not through fear, not through charm, but through a stable structure they must adapt to if they want continued access to you. People may argue with your words, but they adapt to your patterns. Over time, the system becomes your reputation. You become known as someone whose boundaries are not bluffs, whose standards are not suggestions, whose time and attention must be earned, not assumed. 8. Power comes from inner sovereignty, not outer aggression. Most people confuse dominance with intimidation, or confidence with loudness. But the deepest, most enduring form of psychological power is quiet and centered. It comes from knowing who you are, what you allow, and where you do not bend. True psychological sovereignty means you do not chase validation. People seek your approval. You do not compete for attention. Your presence naturally commands it. You do not react to pressure. You respond to outcomes. You do not cling to people. You choose them deliberately. You do not fear losing anything, because nothing owns you. This is the point beyond tactics, beyond tricks, beyond strategies. This is when power stops being something you try to apply externally and becomes something that radiates from within you. When you reach this stage, people feel your presence before you speak. They measure their words around you. They think twice before testing you. They sense the stability in you and instinctively recognize it as strength. You stop being someone who navigates the hierarchy and become someone around whom the hierarchy reorganizes itself. The final shift. All Voss principles converge into one transformation. You stop being shaped by the world and begin shaping the world around you. Most people spend their lives reacting to disrespect, to unfairness, to manipulation, to circumstances. But once you internalize these principles, you rise above the reactive life. You begin acting with intent. You speak with purpose. You move strategically. You stop bleeding power through emotional impulses, naive expectations, and people-pleasing habits. This is not about becoming cruel. This is about becoming sovereign. You cease being psychologically available to those who drain you and become valuable to those who respect you. You stop waiting for fairness and begin enforcing standards. You stop hoping for recognition and begin shaping your reputation. You stop explaining yourself and begin embodying your authority. Once you make that shift, the world responds differently. Not because it suddenly becomes fair, but because you stop playing the unfair game blindly. You finally start playing it wisely.